A Karen accuses me of faking my disability as a veteran, demands my seat on a Greyhound bus, and then encourages her kids to rip off my prosthetic leg. Little did she know, a retired grandfather on board wasn't having any of it. Here's what happened. So I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, and my military occupational specialties was corpsman. For background, a corpsman usually serve as medical building/hospital or sick bay support staff depending on if assigned to a base or a ship. A few of us get called up to serve as field medics for Marines, TLDR. I was one of these, and had served in Afghanistan and Iraq attached to various Ricky recon units. Despite the best efforts to ensure our safety, I had lost my lower right leg during a training exercise accident in 2010. This happened after my recovery and medical discharge was completed, and I was on a Greyhound on my way back home. So, on my way home, leaving from the Greyhound station back home at 12 a.m. July 1st, 2010, I'm wearing my combat boots, jean shorts, try being in South in long pants in the dead of summer. Despite the fact that the area around my brand new prosthetics pin was still very sore, my old unit shirt, my dog tags visible, and my Marines Desert BDU hat. I first see her when boarding the bus first, and she's giving me the stink eye. Greyhound was so nice to help me, as I was still using a crutch to help balance. I take a seat in the back of the bus, and the staff tells me to stretch out if I wanted to. There were going to be the entitled mom's family, and one other couple, so there'd be plenty of room. When I see her boarding, I can hear Karen declaring as loudly as she could that her dad would only be a moment, and that he was a veteran that got messed up by Agent Orange in Vietnam, and it takes him a little long in the restroom. Earlier, I had talked to the guy in the smoking area. He was a vet, and we had compared tattoos and talked about how he, his unwed daughter, and two brats were going to the same city I was to visit his sister for the 4th. I, wanting to help a fellow vet, decided to speak up and confirm it was true. Mistake #1. When she sees me there in the 3-seater back row, and next to the travel toilet, she storms up and demands that I give the seat up to her and her little foobar kids since her father was a disabled veteran. I point back to the rest of the empty bus and smile. Ma'am, I am a newly discharged, disabled. That was as far as I got. The bitch rudely interrupts me. Bullshit! You're just some cripple. The service doesn't let cripples in. Take off all of that shit and quit pretending. At that point, I pull out my DD-214 and point to where it said that I lost my lower leg in a training accident. As the bus driver reaches us to pull her aside to tell her to get off the bus, I motion for his attention and ask that she just get stuck up front with her kids because, you know, look out for the old man. Mistake #2. After he's boarded, he's told what happened and cusses her out before going back to apologize to me before offering me a swig from his little flask. Eventually, I fall asleep. As the sun's starting to rise, I wake up to a pain that felt like someone had hooked the prosthetics pin to a car and was speeding off. I jerk myself awake, and there's entitled kid 1 and 2, both pulling on it to try to get it off me. I pop up screaming, "Get these little mayonnaise stains." Anyone over the age of 13 can guess the real word. The flip, yeah, the other word, off my leg. Grandfather's meds are making it slow to wake up, he told me, but Karen was on her feet. "How dare you scream at my perfect little angels," she screamed at me. At this, the bus driver was pulling over while I was trying to get their hands off my leg. "Get your flipping," yeah, that word again, hands off of them, me, then be a flipping, yeah, again, same word, but 4x in the sentence. Parent and flipping make them get their grubby little mitts off my flipping leg before I flipping throw you all off this bus. Karen screams, "You shut the flip up, you lousy lying cripple. Let them play with it. They're curious. Besides, you're just a lousy fake vet cripple." At this point, she's shut up by peeved grandfather, who's removed his belt while coming up the aisle, starting to take the belt to her ass. He literally pulls her over his knee and starts spanking her. "You little shots." 3 guesses, first 2 don't count as to the real word, "will be next if you don't leave his leg alone." They make a beeline to the front of the bus at that point. When the cops get there, he even filled out a witness statement as to what she had pulled and helped me get her arrested. The rest of the trip, the entitled kids behaved, and the grandfather made it up to me with a lot more drinks the rest of the way. No clue what happened to the mom, but I heard the state of Maryland picked up the charges against her. And there's my story. Oh my gosh, OP, this Karen is on a whole other level of crazy. First, she accuses you of faking your disability as a veteran, and then she has the audacity to demand your seat on the bus. Unbelievable! And let's not forget about her little monsters trying to rip off your prosthetic leg like it's some kind of toy. Who even thinks that's okay? But can we take a moment to appreciate that retired grandfather coming to your rescue? That was pure gold. He didn't hesitate to give Karen the spanking she so clearly deserved. It's crazy how entitled some people can be, but I'm glad you had someone on your side during that ridiculous situation, OP. What do you guys think about this wild story? Let me know in the comments. A Karen and her teenage daughter thought it would be funny to stage a fake kidnapping with a young boy in the back of their van, holding up a sign that read, "Help, I've been kidnapped." After a full-scale felony stop and the discovery that it was just a joke, the mother ended up facing several felony charges. Here's what happened. So I'm a former police officer who had to retire due to being badly injured, but this was one of my last calls before the incident that forced me into retirement. I worked for a small-town police department with only 5 or 6 officers on duty at a given time, and we each covered a vast swath of land. My beat mainly was the rural area and county highway that passes throughout the little town. One clear sunny afternoon, I'm doing speed enforcement on the highway when my radio crackles to life of a possible kidnapping in progress, and the dispatcher proceeds to provide the details of the make and model of the car, including a female driver with short blonde hair. I proceed to get onto my computer to see if there are any more details given about this, and sure enough, there is. In the call log. It provides even more details saying RP, reporting party, reports there is a young kid sitting in the hatchback part of the vehicle with a sign that says, "Help, I've been kidnapped. Call 911, and their hands appeared to be tied together. While the call is within our jurisdiction, they're nowhere near me, so there is nothing I can do at the moment besides other officers and sheriff deputies who are already looking for the vehicle. All is quiet for the next 10 minutes. Everybody is behaving themselves and driving the speed limit when my radio crackles to life again. We're getting another call regarding the reported kidnapping. They're now traveling S on County Highway 123, and my ears perk up, and my heart starts to race as the vehicle is coming to my direction and will be here any minute. As I'm waiting for the call, dispatch get 3 more calls from fellow drivers who have seen this young kid holding up the "Help, I've been kidnapped" sign, and had called 911 to report it. With this stretch of highway being very flat, I'm able to see cars miles and miles away, especially if I'm using binos, and sure enough, here comes the van, and as the van passes me, I can see the female driver who matches the description given by the RPs and the kid sitting up against the sidewall in the hatchback area. I don't pull out right away just in case this is an honest-to-God kidnapping. I don't want to spook the driver and get into a high-speed chase, not to mention I'm completely alone, and in this type of situation, you want to have a decent amount of backup in case they decide to run, shoot it out or whatever, so I wait until she's a good mile or 2 away, then I pull out and tail her from that distance until I can get some backup. Luckily, there is a highway patrol barracks not too far away, and they heard my call for assistance. Just as we pass the road that leads to the highway patrol barracks, I see 4 trooper vehicles pull out behind me, so I fall back and let the troopers take lead in case this turned into a chase. They'd already be in position. While we're getting into position to stop the van, we're talking about how we're going to approach the situation. Are we going to do a soft traffic stop and proceed as a regular traffic stop and just pull the driver out of the vehicle, or are we going to do a full felony stop? We decided to do a full felony stop, so we spread out across all 4 lanes of traffic and all turn out lights and blip our sirens at the same time. The female doesn't pull over to the side of the highway in the breakdown lane, but instead slammed on the brakes and stops in the middle of the highway. We all position our vehicles to give us the maximum amount of coverage in case of a gunfight, then get out with weapons drawn while ordering the female driver out of the vehicle. We should have known something was up when as soon as she got out of the vehicle she started screaming, "It was a fucking joke!" But right now we're not too interested in what she has to say. The point man keeps telling her to keep walking backward until we tell her to stop, and then get down on the ground. She complies and she's cuffed. Next, we turn out attention to the female passenger, whom we didn't know at the time as we couldn't see her face was the female driver's 13-year-old daughter, but none. We ordered her backward, get on the ground, and cuffed her. We did this for the next 4 passengers who were riding in the 4 seats in the back of the van. Once we got all perceived threats out of the vehicle and secured, 2 troopers went up to clear the vehicle, while another trooper and myself rescued the young boy who was bawling from the hatchback and put him in the back of one of our vehicles to get him away from his perceived kidnappers. The whole time, mind you, the driver and front female passengers kept yelling, "It's a joke! He's my son brother! I can't believe you guys!" So after securing everybody in separate vehicles, we start to get to the bottom of this situation. The first person we talk to is the young boy who has since calmed down after the female trooper got him a stuffed dinosaur and a snack, and began to start asking him questions. This is when we learned the whole thing was the female driver's and her daughter's sick idea of a funny prank. Since the van was full, and they decided to put the young kid in the hatchback, they thought it would be funny to make a sign saying, "Help, I've been kidnapped," and have the young boy hold it up while someone else in the van recorded the reaction of other drivers after they read the sign. Apparently they've been doing it all day and just didn't get caught until they reached I area after talking to the other passengers who were all under the age of 16 and learned it was mainly the idea of the mother and teen daughter, and after some discussion with the county DA on how it should be handled, we were told to kick the 4 teenagers in the back, lose with no charges, to write the teenage daughter the juvenile equivalence of a ticket for inducing panic, and last but not least, save the best for mom. I opened the back door of my vehicle so I could talk to the mom. As soon as I did, she started to get out of the vehicle. When I told her to stay put, she said, "Why? Don't you need to take the handcuffs off me so I can sign the ticket you're going to give me, right?" I said, "It's not quite that simple. I'm afraid you're in a bit more trouble than a simple ticket. You're going to be charged with several felonies." This is when she lost it and started screaming over and over again, "It was a fucking joke! I can't believe nobody can take a fucking joke anymore! It was a joke! Now uncuff me or I'm going to have my husband sue you for unlawful detention." I proceeded to read her Miranda warning, all the while she starts sobbing with no tears, I might add, while muttering it was a fucking joke. After I finished with her Miranda warning, I asked her if she was willing to talk to me. She told me to fuck off. I did just that and shut the door to let her wait for the transport vehicle. By this time the husband and father had shown up at the scene to collect his kids in the vehicle and was filled in on the situation. All he could do is shake his head and say, "This isn't the first time she's done stupid crap like this before. It's just the first time she's been caught, and I've warned her in the past not to do it because I knew it would end up in a situation like this." After about 10 minutes the transport van showed up and took her away, and I went back to a quiet afternoon of catching speeders. The female driver was charged with the following: 7 counts of inducing panic, all misdemeanor, 6 counts of felony child endangerment, 1 for each kid she had in the vehicle. Reason it was a felony is that her actions put her children's lives in danger by forcing us to do a felony stop over a prank joke. 1 count of having an unrestrained child. She decided to put her 6-year-old son in the hatchback of the van because they didn't have any room up front, while none of those kids should have been back there. I'd rather one of the older kids instead of the 6-year-old. The reason why? Because the other boys were too tall and wouldn't have been comfortable back there. I mean, who on earth thinks staging a fake kidnapping is a good idea? And involving her kids in it too. That's just next level bonkers. Honestly, I couldn't help but laugh at the sheer absurdity of the situation as I read through your story. The part where the Karen just kept screaming, "It's a joke," as if that would somehow absolve her of all responsibility, had me rolling my eyes so hard. And let's not even get started on her ridiculous reaction when she found out she was facing felony charges. Classic Karen meltdown. It's pretty satisfying to see that she finally got some consequences for her reckless behavior. But seriously, it's terrifying to think about how her actions put her kids and everyone else on the road in danger. I thought I was being a considerate husband by quietly watching TV in the living room after coming home from a business trip. Little did I know, I was only a few minutes away from catching my wife in the act with her lover. It wasn't until I received a text from her, meant for him, that I realized what was going on. What happened next? Here's how it all went down. Apparently, I missed my wife's lover by only a few minutes. I found out when she texted me accidentally instead of him. I went on a business trip this weekend and got home at 6:25 a.m. I didn't want to wake her and the kids, so I sat quietly in the living room watching TV. A few minutes later, I get a text from her. "Thanks for staying over, babe. I love sleeping next to you. Obviously I wasn't here last night. I'm still on the couch and haven't responded." I think she went back to sleep and has no idea she accidentally texted me. Monday, 1. I had to go to work before confronting her. I think it was better anyway since it gave me time to think about what to say instead of rushing to anger. 2. I asked my assistant to go to the 7-Eleven next door and see if they have Shiner Bock. If they don't, I'll ask him to go as far as Publix. For science. Edit. We didn't find any. 3. She finally texted me at work and said that her girlfriend stayed over. I didn't respond. 3 p.m. ESC. Update. Tuesday 1. I left work last night and went to dinner with one of my work partners. 2. I didn't say a word to my wife when I came to bed. In the morning I mentioned the text after I woke up. I told her I was surprised she would use that language with a girlfriend. 3. She broke down and admitted that she had a platonic girlfriend and a not-so-platonic ex-boyfriend over while I was away. 4. She admitted it wasn't the first time. 5. I calmly told her I would have to think about how I feel about the situation and let her know whether we should separate. Thanks you guys. You prepared me for the worst, way in advance. It's nice to get the hive mind's opinion sometimes before jumping into a rash and complicated situation or acting brash and angry as a reaction. I really appreciate everyone's comments and help figuring out the next steps. Relevant comment. I thought it could be innocent, but I've only heard her call one other person babe, me. I also considered that she wants me to know and her subconscious sabotaged her. There are a lot of suggestions in the comments about what he should do. Update. August 3rd, 2012. Title. Well guys, I'm a big dumb idiot. She knew I was home and just wanted me to come up. When have any of you misread a text message and almost ruined everything? Or at least, I really wish that's how it happened. It didn't. Turns out I was right when I posted this thread. I missed her longtime lover by just under 15 minutes. Kudos to someone in the comments for suggesting this clever title in the original thread. Edit. Before I moved out, I saw 2 lawyers and talked to an old frat buddy lawyer in my state, who also happens to work at the state attorney's office. They all said that moving out won't hurt my case, but pulling all of my finances away from the family would. That's abandonment. Leaving an unsafe situation for the good of you, your children, isn't abandonment. Darn it, right? I'm very sorry to abandon you guys without an update to this thread since Tuesday. A hazy fog of disbelief has clouded my world. Everything happy has disappeared. The quiet nuclear family life. 2 kids, a dog, a 4-bed home in the suburbs. Since Tuesday morning, I have learned this has happened before. She took him to an expensive hotel on the beach near our home to eat at the award-winning restaurant. I introduced her to this place on our anniversary last year. She revealed to me that she is interested in a swinger lifestyle, and she's already been to swinger clubs with him and the girlfriend. She wants to keep our marriage together, but wants to keep the lover as well. The funny thing is, I'm not a jealous person. Neither am I controlling or demanding, or think that I can force someone to love only me. If she hadn't gone secret agent on me and tried to hide it, I would have considered it. I've moved out of the home and into my office until I can find a condo or apartment close to our primary home and my daughter's school. I've given my lead engineer all of our bank info so he can run the company in case I get held up with any problems. I wonder how many people are hoping it was just a mistake. Alas, life sometimes has a way of being as entirely predictable as you imagined it would. Relevant comment. More information about what went down. I wasn't going to move out originally. A lot happened since Tuesday night. During one of our discussions about this lover, things turned argumentative, then violent. She has a history of violence. Names were called, fists were thrown, and eventually objects were broken. She called the police and claimed she wanted me out. The police sided with me and said there was no evidence I abused her, so they can't ask me to leave my own home. My daughter watched, not able to go to bed while the police questioned Daddy. I left for a friend's house and got severely drunk on whiskey. The next morning I returned home and demanded she leave. She left for about 20 hours while I took care of the kids. She came back at night and locked herself in the bedroom and texted me that the kids need her and she can't abandon them. I told her there is no way to live with the violence and one of us had to leave. Sadly, I had to be that person. I have been going to the house every morning to wake up with them and at night to put them to bed. The kids, that is. I will rent a new place that can hold all of us and move there in the next few weeks. Then, she can move wherever she can afford on her own. People criticize him for leaving, but most agree he did the right thing. Thank you. It's not like it was an easy decision to make and I pray it doesn't bite me in the ass later. But you know what would be worse? Staying, getting in another fight, having the police come again and having not so understanding police officers again. You know what would be worse than losing my house in the divorce? Going to jail because the police believed her story. Screwing up my life, my company, my future, and the future of my kids, their family income, the money they need to eat, etc. Staying would be so much worse. The rest of it, I can deal with. I am not an absentee father and she'd have to make up evidence in court if she wanted to somehow prove that I was, whether or not I am sleeping in the marital home. Final update. Thank you to those following my cuckold non-fiction story. Sadly, this is true. For r/men's rights, I feel like I should keep a log to help other men when they find themselves in the same situation. 1,000 other people are facing the same situation I am today, right now. I couldn't spend another night in the bed she had other people in. I'm not a prude, but the lying, cheating, and stealing killed our marriage faster than a cancer eating away at your insides. And it hurt just as bad. I've left my career as a successful engineer. I put the company in the hands of my highest executive and told him I might not be back. I still offered to fly in to close any big sales. This season of my life is over. I've moved on, and it's time for some shake-it-up life-altering changes. I have $100,000 in open personal credit, $50,000 in open company credit, a paid-off car. It's a Lexus ISF, thanks for asking. Enough savings and residual income to not work for 6 months. 2 kids who depend on me in every way, financially and stability-wise. I've already done the typical bachelor stuff you forget about when you're married. Upgraded to an iPhone, purchased new wheels and speakers for my sports mid-level luxury sports car, upgraded my battle station and took a vacation to Disneyland. OMG, really? I'm getting so much hate for this. Yes, I talk like a teenager. Is that a crime? I want a new life. Guys, what would you do? What did you do? Travel? Buy stuff? Work out until you looked like an Olympic athlete? Spill your guts, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me your midlife crisis successes and failures. Relevant comments. Why did you leave your job? I did what made a lot of money and loved every minute of it, but I realized I started liking the sales part of the business and not the execution as much. My true passion is elsewhere. I'm hoping to break into the special effects industry. Practical effects, explosions, model building, etc. I've been around computers too long and I just can't do it anymore. What I would give to have worked on a Nolan Batman flick, rigging lights for a SFX shot. Sigh. Well, I also have residuals from my company still coming in every 2 weeks. Not exactly as high as my take-home pay, but still enough to be okay. More about custody. We're splitting the kids realistically. For the moment they live in the primary home, but many nights of the week they are here, and I put them to bed and wake up with them. Eventually I will move back to the primary home, or move the kids here permanently, and let the ex take them several days out of the week. It was just a compromise, since I'm the one materially supporting the household, their food, clothes, gas, etc. What does this have to do with men's rights? From the other thread, there was a lot of debate about how I should handle the exie, kick her to the curb, versus a more empathetic approach, whether or not I should fight for full custody, etc. I'm trying to make it out alive, and hopefully document some of it for other people going through the same, infidelity, lying, separation, etc. From a man POV. Original poster continued to post sporadically up until about 3 years ago. He did leave one more comment in relation to his ex-wife. I was married to a woman who couldn't wait to die, so she could get to heaven, because her dad was there. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to check out the other videos on your screen now too. Come on, click it. And why stop at just one video? Click them all. You know you want to. Don't be shy, just click away. Who knows, you might just find your new favorite video. So go ahead, click them all, and then come back for more. Keep clicking, keep watching, keep enjoying.